I've got one quick announcement. We do have an overflow room, and if you do not have a seat and are standing, we'll ask you to step out to room 169. The only ones that will be allowed to remain standing is if you are presenting on one of the bills. You can stay in the room. Otherwise, all those others will ask you to go over to 169 to the overflow room. With that, I'm going to ask the secretary to please call the roll.
Representative Bentley. Here. Representative Bowling. Here. Representative Bray.
Present.
Representative Brown. Representative Chester Burton.
Here.
Representative Dixon. Here. Representative Doan. Here. Representative Fleming. Representative Frazier Gordon.
Yes.
Representative Freeland. Here. Representative Hart.
Here.
Representative Imes.
Here.
Representative Justice.
Here.
Representative Lockett.
Here.
Representative Meredith. Representative Proctor.
Here.
Representative Raymer.
Here.
Representative Stalker.
Present.
Representative Stevenson. Representative Thomas.
Present.
Chairman Bridges.
Here.
Pam.
There being a quorum present, we are constituted to do business. We have many members, so we're going to waive the introduction of members. I do want to welcome, I think this is City Day. So if you're a city official, if you don't mind to stand, we'll welcome you all in one big group, and we're glad to have you. With that, we have a number of bills. We've got a full docket this morning, so we're going to move along. The first bill up is House Bill 456 with Representative Heverin. Representative Heverin, if you'll take the podium and introduce your guest, yourself and your guest, and then you can have the floor.
Thank you.
And I believe we've got a committee sub. Do I have a motion on the sub?
Motion on the sub.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Committee sub, take the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I am Samara Heverin, State Representative for the 18th District. I represent all of Grayson County and a portion of Hardin County. And I'll let my guest introduce himself.
Good morning, Chairman Bridges and committee members. Thanks for having us here. My name is Jerry Wagner. I'm a retired sheriff and executive director of the Sheriff's Association.
Thank you today for having us here. I greatly appreciate it, Mr. Chairman and committee members. What this bill does is it strengthens the original intent of the language. Sheriff's offices are getting audited for having flexible schedules, and they're having to pay penalties on this. This happened in Grayson County, and so peace officers is what the language says in the bill, and it excluded them basically. So what this does is just add sheriff's offices so they can be exempt on their exempt on flexible scheduling. This will help.
Second. We have a motion by Representative Dixon, a second by Representative Lockett. Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Representative Bentley. Yes. Representative Bowling.
Yes.
Representative Bray.
Yes.
Representative Chester Burton.
Yes.
Representative Dixon.
Yes.
Representative Doan.
Aye.
Representative Fleming. Aye. Representative Frazier Gordon.
Yes.
Representative Freeland.
Yes.
Representative Hart.
Yes.
Representative Imes.
Yes.
Representative Justice.
Yes.
Representative Lockett.
Yes.
Representative Meredith. Yes, ma'am. Representative Proctor.
Yes.
Representative Raymer.
Yes.
Representative Stalker.
Yes.
Representative Stevenson. Yes. Representative Thomas.
Aye.
Chairman Bridges.
Yes. House Bill 456 with committee sub passes, and looks like it shall pass the floor. Thank you, Representative Heffer.
Thank you very much, Chairman and members of the committee.
Thank you, Jerry. Up next, we have House Bill 472 with Representative Freeland. If you'll come to the podium and introduce yourself and any guests that may be with you. And I believe we do have a committee sub on this. Do we have a motion? Okay. We've got a motion by Representative Bray and a second by Representative Lockett. All in favor say aye. Aye. Oppose? Committee sub passes. Representative Freeland, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen. The House Bill 472, the committee sub, it's creating a new section of KRS 381 to allow the appointment of a receiver for a planned community when it fails to maintain the infrastructure that it's legally obligated to maintain. It allows for a legal path for a city to recover any of the expended funds for taxpayers to the repairs, cleanups, or otherwise bring violations up to code. And I've got Mr. J.D. Cheney from KLC with us, and he wants to make a few.
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, J.D. Cheney, Executive Director, CEO of the League of Cities. Y'all probably seen this bill quite a few times. If you remember, Senator Alvarado had this component in the Planned Community Act several years. We took that out of the Planned Community Act that passed last year and attempted to do this separately. This is a follow-up to legislation from 2018 that Representative Meredith did on code enforcement when you're dealing with planned communities or homeowners associations in common areas. You really can't use the code function to enforce code liens or other things like that because it's commonly held property with the homeowners association. So when these things go defunct, this would allow the city to go to the circuit court, get a receiver appointed, and do the things that Representative Freeland described under court supervision. So that way taxpayer funds aren't misdirected when it's a property owner's responsibility for maintaining it.
Motion. Second. Second.
I just have a quick question, Mr. Chairman. In the under Section 1, subsection B, where it talks about the planned community, it says excluding condominiums. I'm assuming, is that talking about, say, like senior living condominium? And if so, why would those be excluded?
There's a separate statutory scheme under the revised statute called the Condominium Act that governs condominiums solely. So we didn't want to bring them in and apply this statutory scheme when you got the Condominium Act that covers a condominium situation.
Great, thank you.
Seeing no further questions, we've got a motion and a second on the bill as amended by the committee sub. Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Representative Bentley? Representative Bowling?
Yes.
Representative Bray?
Yes.
Representative Chester Burton?
Yes.
Representative Dixon?
Yes.
Representative Down?
Yes.
Representative Fleming? Representative Frazier Gordon?
Yes.
Representative Freeland? Representative Hart?
Yes.
Representative Imes?
Yes.
Representative Justice?
Yes.
Representative Lockett?
Yes.
Representative Meredith? Representative Proctor?
Yes.
Representative Raymer?
Yes.
Representative Stalker?
Yes.
Representative Stevenson? Representative Thomas?
Aye.
Chairman Bridges?
Yes. Motion carries with favorable expression that the bill as amended should pass. Thank you.
Hey, thank you. Can I request it be on consent calendar?
Motion denied. Up next, we have House Bill 475 with Representative Imes. If you will come to the table, introduce yourself, and have your guests introduce themselves, you may proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members. I'm Mary Beth Imes, State Representative of the 5th District.
I'm Trey Grayson with Frost Bryant Todd. Our client, WellPath, supports this bill.
Okay, before you have House Bill 475. There are currently only a small handful of companies that bid on and provide health care services to county and local jail systems across Kentucky. KRS is currently written seemingly prohibits the owner of the contract to provide health care services for the state prison system from bidding on county local health care contracts for inmates in their care. This prohibition unnecessarily reduces competition and leads to a lower number of provider responses for health services in county.
Motion to bill.
We have a motion. Do we have a second? Okay, we got a second by Representative Justice. We do have a question by Representative Stevenson.
Thank you for bringing this bill. I just want to be sure I'm clear that this bill will allow inmates to get more people to bid so they can get better treatment. And the reason why they can't do it now is what?
Okay, they're getting the treatment now, Representative Stevenson. This just Secretary, you may need to.
Yeah, I can answer this one.
Okay.
Representative Stevenson. I think the original rationale behind the bill was a belief that the entity that did something statewide, so whether it's regular health care, it's also dental and other services, may have a competitive advantage that would make it an unfair competition at the local level. However, anything at the state level is subject to an open records request. And given the small number of providers in this space, it seems like let the counties figure that out. And the hope would be that more bidders would be better quality at a better price. But the counties and cities, the local governments would have to figure that out for themselves.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Seeing no further, yes, Representative Proctor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you guys so much for bringing up this issue. So am I understanding you correctly that there is a monopoly right now for health care for our inmates, that they only are given one provider?
Yeah, the Department of Corrections last year, for the last probably decade has done a single source contract for medical services in WellPath, previously called Correct Care. Won it in the first Beshear administration, was extended in the Bevin administration, and then won it again in this Beshear administration. So then they go out, they have employees, but then they also may go out and provide providers for specialty services. But yes, there's a single provider for all of the state correction system.
So this bill advocates for having multiple choices for providers for our inmates. Or the opportunity to bid for that.
Correct.
Which would lower costs, which would probably increase accessibility and, probably be better quality. Is that what this bill is advocating?
That's what this bill is advocating, Representative.
Thank you. I'm so glad that you brought this up from inmates, and I hope that you would share this passion and enthusiasm for choices of health care for all Kentuckians. Thank you very much.
And I look forward to meeting with you later today to talk about that.
Representative Fleming has a question.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm going to ask a question, Representative and former Secretary. Single source, given my contract experience and background in dealing with feds as well as the state, are they going to be required to follow 45A in terms of going through this procurement process and making sure that that not only the price is there, which I know to a certain degree is commodity, but also any other type of ancillary services that provide quality of care? If you don't know, that's fine. I'm just curious.
Yeah, I would assume they have to follow local rule, like the county's procurement policies. Beyond that, I don't know the specifics, but counties, there's 45A, it governs county procurements. This strikes me something that the counties would have to follow.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you. No further questions. Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Representative Bentley? Yes, ma'am. Representative Bowling?
Yes.
Representative Bray?
Yes.
Representative Chester Burton?
Yes.
Representative Dixon?
Yes.
Representative Down?
Yes, ma'am.
Representative Fleming? Representative Frazier Gordon?
Yes.
Representative Freeland?
Yes.
Representative Hart?
Yes.
Representative Imes?
Yes.
Representative Justice?
Yes.
Representative Lockett?
Yes.
Representative Meredith? Yes, ma'am. Representative Proctor?
Yes.
Representative Raymer?
Yes.
Representative Stalker?
Yes.
Representative Stevenson? Yes. Representative Thomas?
Aye.
Chairman Bridges?
Yes. Motion carries with favorable expression that the bill should pass.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, we have House Bill 454, Representative Frazier Gordon. If you don't mind to come to the table, introduce yourself and any guest you may have.
Thank you, Chairman and members of the committee. I'm Representative Deanna Frazier Gordon, District 81 in Madison
Can you pull
County.
that closer to you, please?
Is that better? It's green.
Okay,
Okay. You ready?
we're ready.
Okay. Thank you, members. House Bill 484 focuses on establishing an emergency medical services education grant program in Kentucky. The primary aim is to address the shortage of paramedics and enhance emergency medical services by increasing the number of individuals seeking paramedic certification. The program comprises three key components: student tuition support, agency support, and emergency medical services training or educational institutional support. In the student tuition support component, the bill proposes funding for individuals employed by Class 1 ground ambulance providers who are pursuing initial paramedic certification. The support covers tuition costs and is subject to regulations concerning completion timelines, minimum service lengths, fund usage restrictions, and priority considerations for underserved geographic areas and agencies not meeting national standards. The agency support component focuses on reimbursing Class 1 ground ambulance providers for wages paid to employees seeking paramedic certification. The regulations within this component address maximum reimbursement amounts, the eligibility of employees, and other necessary aspects for effective implementation.
Motion on the bill.
We have a motion on the bill from Representative Freeland, a second from Representative Bray. Does anyone have any questions? Representative Fleming.
Yep, thank you, Mr. Representative, you and I have talked about some time ago, and if you don't mind, refresh my memory. You know, we passed House Bill 200, which is a healthcare workforce investment account that looks at a broad spectrum of healthcare providers, which includes EMS. And the EMS providers, I worked with them diligently to make sure they're included in any type of allocation that hopefully this body will grant to and hopefully around $25 million, which will leverage to about $50 million. Could you just remind me how this will help this? And I'm supporting this, just make sure you know that, but how this might help that in terms of working those two initiatives together in order to help, because we know there's a dire need in EMS, and we need to lift them up as much as we can.
Yes, thank you for that question. And so it's looking at the aspects of tuition reimbursement and naturally focusing on the areas that have the greatest shortage amount of workers. But this is also adding that private aspect of it to be able to receive donations and that type of thing. So it would bolster it in that way.
Okay, great. Thank you, ma'am.
Any further questions? Seeing none, Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Representative Bentley?
Yes, ma'am.
Representative Bowling?
Yes.
Representative Bray?
Yes.
Representative Chester Burton?
Yes.
Representative Dixon?
Yes.
Representative Down?
Yes.
Representative Fleming? Representative Frazier Gordon?
Yes.
Representative Freeland?
Yes.
Representative Hart?
Yes.
Representative Imes?
Yes.
Representative Justice?
Yes.
Representative Lockett?
Yes.
Representative Meredith? Representative Proctor?
Yes.
Representative Raymer?
Yes.
Representative Stalker?
Yes.
Representative Stevenson? Representative Thomas?
Aye.
Chairman Bridges?
Yes. The motion carries with favorable expression that the bill should pass. Thank you, Representative.
Thank you, Chairman and members of the committee.
Next bill we have is House Bill 581 with Representative Upchurch. If you don't mind to come to the table and introduce yourself and any guests you may have, and you may have the floor.
I've always been taught not to say anything after you get a motion, but I'm Ken Upchurch, State Representative for the 52nd District. I'm going to let my guests introduce themselves.
Thank you.
I'm Brian Clark. I'm the Executive Director of the Kentucky Petroleum Marketers Association.
I'm Scott Kaiser. I'm Chairman of the Kentucky Petroleum Marketers Association and Chief Operating Officer of Woodford Oil Company.
We're glad to have you gentlemen today. I know we have a motion, but Representative Upchurch, if you can't give us a 15-second quick one-step explanation.
I can do that, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for having us today. House Bill 581 will ensure statewide regulatory consistency on an already highly regulated industry by preventing political subdivisions from adopting or enforcing regulations that limit access to specific fuel sources or prohibit the construction of retail fueling facilities.
Thank you. We have a motion. We have a second. Do we have any questions? We have Representative Stalker has a question.
Thank you so much. My question for you is, would this law prohibit local governments from regulating charging stations at places like rest stops or private businesses where gas, you're not going to typically find that?
It would not.
Okay, thank you.
Representative Lockett has a question.
Yeah, I just wanted to say question. So that's, who's opposed to this bill?
Has anyone signed up today?
I don't know. Is it? So,
I've
so
not,
no opposition at all?
I've had no one reach out to me specifically in opposition.
Fantastic.
Representative Justice has a question.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Wasn't there certain situations where gas stations weren't allowed to be developed, but on the same property charging stations were? So kind of picking winners and losers in some situations for industries.
That is the impetus behind this bill, where we're not picking winners and losers and letting the free marketplace decide.
Yeah. Thank you. I think it's the right thing to do, so definitely support it.
Thank you.
I apologize for that. I could turn off my own cell phone. We do have a motion and a second. With that, I'd ask the secretary to please call the roll.
Representative Bentley? Yes, ma'am. Representative Bowling?
Yes. We're in roll call.
Representative Bray?
Yes.
Representative Chester Burton?
Yes.
Representative Dixon? Yes. Representative Doan?
Yes, ma'am.
Representative Fleming? Aye. Representative Frazier Gordon?
Yes.
Representative Freeland?
Yes.
Representative Hart?
Yes.
Representative Imes?
Yes.
Representative Justice?
Yes.
Representative Lockett?
Yes.
Representative Meredith?
Yes, ma'am.
Representative Proctor?
Yes.
Representative Raymer?
Yes.
Representative Stalker?
Explain my vote, please. Rep Upchurch, I have a couple more questions. I'm sorry that we were already into roll call before that was seen. So I'm going to pass today, and then I'd like to talk to you one-on-one just to get those answered. Thank you so much.
Certainly.
Representative Stevenson? Representative Thomas?
Aye.
Chairman Bridges?
Yes. Motion carries with favorable expression that the bill should pass. Thank you, Representative Upchurch, and gentlemen. We appreciate you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Now, last but not least, we have House Bill 596 with Representative Dixon. And Representative Dixon, if you'll come to the table, introduce yourself and your guest. And as you come to the table, I believe we do have a committee sub. Do I have a motion?
Second.
Okay, we've got a motion and a second. So all in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? With that, please introduce yourself and guest, and you may have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members. I will let my guest introduce themselves.
J.D. Cheney, Executive Director, CEO of the Kentucky League of Cities.
Robbie Mills, State Senator, 4th District.
Jim Henderson, I work for KCO. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and committee members. After months of debate and meetings over the task force on annexation, with the bill that you have before you with the committee sub is a collective effort of both the cities and counties working together to reach a solution. Here is the bill and what it does section by section. Section 1 and 2 of the bill requires cities to give 45-day written notice of annexation, requires 51% of property owners to oppose the annexation to stop the process. Section 3 and 4 requires both parties' consent to terminate an interlocal agreement concerning revenue sharing between counties subject to crediting and a city. Protects all existing interlocal agreements by setting a date of on or after January 1st, 2024. Section 5 gives counties standing to challenge a proposed annexation, and the county may bring suit in circuit court. Section 6 provides an enhanced hold harmless to counties when cities annex developed property. For 10 years, the city shall guarantee the county will see increased revenue from the annexed property equal to or higher than 100% of the property tax, 150% of the occupational tax, and 150% of the insurance tax, unless otherwise agreed by the city and the county. Section 2A of Section 6 provides a framework to reach an interlocal agreement between the cities and counties when an annexed property is undeveloped, requires a negotiation on an interlocal agreement related to annexation for revenue and cost sharing between the city and county on a property that is undeveloped, addresses corridor annexations. If there are any tangible benefits or services offered by the city, this bill would set up a 60-day negotiation between the city and the county, where in that negotiation if there is not an interlocal agreement reached within those 60-day, and within that 60-day period, this bill would set up a backstop of cost sharing and revenue sharing of 50% or proportional to the county tax rate. Section 7 of the bill allows county governments the ability to designate a county industrial district, which the cities will not be allowed to annex, and the county can develop and service. This also sets the parameters for that district and these details for this district as well. If the committee would like, I would be happy to read the bill, starting with Section 1.
We have a motion and a second. Do we have any questions? Representative Bray.
More of a comment than a question. First of all, thank you both for chairing the annexation task force. And Jonathan, excellent work. You've threaded the needle as best as it possibly could be done. I've talked with my mayors, I've talked with my judges. A comment was made to me over the weekend that kind of summed it up perfectly, I thought. A judge had said, I'd hoped for more, but I'd expected less. And so I think you've done a phenomenal job on this. It threads the needle appropriately. At the end of the day, I think this applies to 6 or 8 counties. And just what's going on across the state, we know that counties and cities that work together already, that have those interlocal agreements already, are the ones that are more prosperous than the others. And so providing the framework to kind of get to the spot to where we have more interlocal agreements, more communications amongst counties and cities, I think you've done a phenomenal job. So hats off to you. I know this is probably going to be your last session for now, but this truly is a legacy piece of legislation.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Representative Bray, but I cannot take all the credit. I do want to thank KCO and KLC for their collaborative work throughout it. Of course, Senator Mills, my co-chair on the committee, and the members of the task force. This was not something that was done by one. This was done by many, and I think it truly shows that when we all work together, we can get good policy done that works for our state. So,
Representative Chester Burton has a question.
Thank you. I appreciate that KLC and KCO collaborated to resolve this issue that came before us months ago. I just want to say that I appreciate each of you for the work that you've done, and I'm glad that we're moving forward. Thank you.
Representative Stalker has a question.
Thank you guys so much for this. I just wanted to make sure that I understood. I see in here where it outlines, I want to make sure I'm reading this correctly, that if the county elects to participate in the development, if they're putting 50% in, they're going to get 50% of the revenue, correct?
that is correct to their county rate. So if a county had a rate, say a quarter or a half, then it would be relative to their county rate that's set. But in your comment, yes, that is correct. And that is a backstop that if they can't agree beforehand. And the goal ultimately in this policy is, and our hope is that cities and counties that find themselves in the situation where this bill would address would actually work on an interlocal between themselves before they ever get to the implementation of where this bill is.
Follow-up question, please, Chair.
Yes, ma'am.
So am I also understanding that if a county does not participate in the infrastructure and the building of something in an area that's been annexed, they will not receive any of the revenue? Is that correct?
That is correct, and they have the 15-day window once the city strikes the ordinance to annex. They have that 15-day window to decide if they would like to talk about being involved in that, which would trigger that process. So you're correct.
Thank you so much. I
Yes,
appreciate
ma'am.
this.
Seeing no further questions, Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Representative Bentley? Yes, ma'am. Representative Bowling?
Yes.
Representative Bray?
Yes.
Representative Chester Burton?
Yes.
Representative Dixon?
Yes.
Representative Down?
Yes, ma'am.
Representative Fleming? Representative Frazier Gordon? Representative Freeland?
Yes.
Representative Hart?
Yes.
Representative Imes?
Yes.
Representative Justice?
Yes.
Representative Lockett?
Yes.
Representative Meredith?
Permission to explain my vote.
I do vote yes, and I want to say thank you to all of the folks who were involved in this process. I sat on the annexation task force, and I know where we started with this legislation, and I know where we got to today. JD and Jim are both to be commended for their work in leading their organizations to get to where we are today. Representative Dixon, Senator Mills, you all are to be commended for the way you ran the task force and the work that you all did on all this effort. And this is a day that I think we can all be, we're not all maybe happy, but we all got to a product that we could all live with as of today. And I think it's something that we can be proud of.
Representative Proctor?
Yes.
Representative Raymer?
Yes.
Representative Stalker?
Yes.
Representative Thomas?
Aye.
Chairman Bridges?
Yes. Motion carries with favorable expression that the bill should pass. With that, we thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, committee members.